My advice is brevity is.
That's right. I was going to say, are there any questions?
Yes, I can live with the budget. Chairman's getting a little feisty, so you might want to be careful.
I'm late.
You've exhibited extreme patience, much more than I as the chief, and I just said it's a good thing.
That's right. Director, thank you for being here, and we thank if you would introduce yourself and your staff, and so we can. You're the final presentation of the evening.
Okay, I'd be happy to. I'm Nancy Whittemore, Director of General Services. To my right is Diana Atwood, our Financial Manager, and to my left is Stacy Wall, the Assistant Director for Fleet Management. I'm going to make my comments very brief, so I know you all are wanting to get out of here. It's been a long afternoon. But before getting into the proposed budget, I would like to highlight some accomplishments and just to say thank you to General Services employees for their commitment and hard work in making this year successful. As many of you know, we've completed 6 major capital projects this year: Midtown Hills Police Precinct, Bellevue Library, Highland Heights, Southeast Davidson Library, the Southeast Davidson Park Community Center, and the Fort Ice Rink. Since 2009, we have built 9 LEED Gold certified buildings and 11 silver, and we are also tracking silver on 3 more buildings. We also participated as a partner in the construction of the Lentz Health Center and the ballpark at Sulphurdale. Currently, we have construction underway on 2 fire stations, Fire Station 20 in Green Hills and Fire Station 19 on 26th Avenue. These will be built to LEED Silver specifications, and if you look at comparing Metro fire stations on average, the LEED certified buildings with non-LEED, we're saving approximately 17% over non-LEED building, and on BTUs, and reflects about 49% less than the national average for similar type facilities. We are constantly looking for ways to manage buildings more efficiently and to reduce operational costs. Over the last year, we've implemented an integrated facility management tool to assist us in making better decisions around facility life cycles. Through this tool, we have brought data on buildings into our centralized online repository. Our work order system is now integrated with a preventative maintenance scheduler and real-time data. We can use this information to communicate to maintenance staff through mobile devices, which improves our response. We have been successful in driving down costs and want to continue on this path. In FY08, the square foot rate was $7.58, and the proposed square foot rate for FY16 is $4.57. This includes all operational services from pest controls to utilities to janitorial services to ground maintenance. We opened last month the Center of Responsible Energy. The core is a control room where we monitor energy usage, power generated, and building automation systems. It is a tool that helps us address the complexity of the buildings we manage, especially the high-performance buildings. By installing building automation systems, we have automated routine maintenance functions and yielded productivity improvements. Moving on to fleet management, staff there are currently working on the procurement of a fleet management system that will be more conducive to the business of fleet. The current system is more financially driven and doesn't allow tracking of equipment in the fleet to the level that we need. A few of the features where we will see immediate benefits are an improved inventory tracking system through barcoding, mileage reading through wireless technology, integration of the fuel system, real-time information on time, materials, and costs, and equipment status, productivity reports, equipment replacement reports with projected replacement costs, annual and lifetime operational cost reports, and a warranty management module. OFM has over 3,500 pieces of equipment in the fleet this fiscal year with an average age of 6.82 years. Over the last 8 years, we have replaced 64% of the fleet. On the total fleet, 1,485 are green equipment. The majority are flex fuel vehicles, with the remaining being hybrids, electric, CNG, and propane. In the area of radio communication, the $28 million upgrade to the public safety radio system is now complete. The system is more robust in moving data and now offers many more capabilities to our police officers, firemen, and other first responders that use the system. We also have a host of federal, state, and local agencies that are on the Metro system as interoperability users. The plan to upgrade the non-emergency side of the radio system to P25 compliance has been developed and awaiting funding approval. The 800 megahertz system we are currently operating on now is at the end of life and is no longer supported, and parts are very limited. Once the funding, if the funding is approved, we're ready to begin phase 1 of the upgrade. I'll just close my remarks there, and if you all have any questions about the budget, I'll be happy to answer those.
Thank you. There's one question I have to ask before I'm asking each department head. Can you operate within the mayor's proposed budget?
Yes, we can.
With that, open the floor to the council members. Council Member Glover.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is more of a housekeeping question than anything else. It appears under internal service funds, things have maybe shifted as far as income or expenses into just the GSD general fund. I'm dollars aren't matching up, but is that?
Last year, if you recall, we moved our building operations, construction and design, and postal from internal service fees over to general fund. There was an adjustment in here, I think it was over $200,000, where we're reconciling that movement from last year.
Okay. I think that's all I have right now, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Tiger.
Thank you. Nancy, there are two people in this world that I try to take care of and make sure that they're happy with me. My wife is at the top of that list, and Ms. Waller is at the next of that list. Just checking on our windows and insulation and my proverbial question that we talk about every year.
Right. Well, you're going to be pleased to know that we are moving forward, and we've been working with council staff on the window replacement. One of the things that we found out about the windows in the council chambers here, and it answers some questions for us. When we brought the people in to look at these windows, there's some structural issues if we actually take these windows out and replace them. There are also some historical issues. So what we're looking at now is doing an inside window in this particular area. And we've got experts working with us on how we do that to maintain the historic nature of this, but also provide windows that are energy efficient. So we are closer to that. We're just about ready to go on the street for some pricing.
Thank you. Councilman Claiborne.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Ms. Whittemore, thank you for being here. Two questions on radios. Are we at a point now where all of the emergency responders can talk to each other in the radio system?
They have always been able to talk to each other in the radio system. I don't know if you're talking about interoperability with outlying cities, and we have a number of cities and other police offices that are on the radio system. One of the things that we've been working with is with the state. Now, the P25 compliance makes that possible. When the federal government made those changes, it made it possible where the radios would talk to each other. But if you go back to the flood of 2010, we had no communication problems during that time. We work very closely with federal, state, and local, Vanderbilt. You know, there are lots of different agencies that are on the system so that interoperability kinds of services can be provided. Okay. We have one of the most reliable radio systems in the nation, so we have an excellent system.
I guess what I'm getting at is if we had some kind of natural disaster that affected more than Davidson County, if we were involved with one or more counties and we had numbers of different emergency departments involved in that, would they be able to? Absolutely.
We have mutual aid agreements with counties. We also have a command center that we could pull a temporary communication radio tower to, and so yes, that would be something that would happen.
Great. And then the other question, earlier in the afternoon, there was discussion around the fire department and the EOC. about potentially relocating all of the Emergency Operations Center into one location where everybody could be on the same level. And it was mentioned that Myatt Drive was a potential place for that. Is that in the process, or what? Is there a status that you could give us on that idea?
Well, we've been looking at this issue for some time and trying to determine the best place to move OEM, I mean not OEM, but ECC out of. So there has been some plans on looking at that, but we have not gone forward with any funding at this time.
So have you identified a suitable place?
Well, we did look at Myatt Drive, and so that, you know, there's other places you can look. I mean, it's a very expensive project, and I think that's probably one of the issues in going forward this particular time was just the cost of that project.
Well, this is another, I guess, another question then. When you look at vacant buildings that Metro has, are there other sites that are just as desirable as Myatt Drive?
Well, Myatt Drive, I mean, it's a large space, so there's a lot of square footage out there. Right now, we would not have any other Metro facility that would have the number of square feet that would be needed for that particular program. But there are, I mean, there's options. We've looked at it, we've designed it, so once we have funding available, you know, we'll be ready to go.
So, is that something that would be considered in, say, next year's budget?
It is absolutely in the capital improvement budget, so it's there. It's just a matter of getting it funded and finding, you know, an appropriate place for it to go. So that would be the next step.
Well, in our discussions with the emergency communications, there was an indication that if there's another police precinct that comes online, or when it comes online, then they're going to lose. I mean, they're going to have to bring in another dispatcher, and so that's going to cause them to lose one or more of their operators that are part of that. Apparently, there are cascading effects that are ready to take place, and so I think that this is. When we're talking about emergency management, I think that this is an item that needs to have priority consideration in moving toward the budget.
I think you're right. I think everything you said is accurate. I think that I think clearly moving in that direction will be the next priority. I personally think that the Myatt Drive is probably the best location for it, but it's going to be expensive. I mean, and one of the issues we were looking at is whether we could get some funding from the ECD board, the Emergency Communication District Board, and they have some availability funding, but it's very limited at this point in time because of other commitments. So we're kind of looking at a multi-year step in when some of that money might be available for this purpose, and then we can balance that off with some Metro money. So I think there's not another precinct on the horizon. I think it's a couple years away before there'd be another precinct, and I think this needs to go with that. And I would, you know, strongly urge the next administration will need to fund a new center soon, if not next year.
Right, and obviously it will be up to the new mayor and the new council to do that. But Ms. Whittemore, you're not going away like we are, so it's going to be up to you to remember our admonitions here to keep this as a front burner issue and to help move that forward.
Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not looking for an answer right now, but obviously there's been a lot of dollars shifted from internal service fees to GSD, and then charges, commissions, and fees. Where does that money primarily? What is that? And I'm on page D10-1. I'm looking at just your general services at a glance. You had a pretty substantial drop last year, and I'm just trying to get a handle on kind of where is that money being generated from?
That comes from the where we build other Metro departments. So our revenue is generated between us and other metro departments. The reason that it went down is because we did have 3 internal service fees that moved to the general fund, so we no longer bill for those.
Okay, so, Mr. Riebling, tell me, I know that you eliminated some of that. We have IT and we have fleet services now that are included. What would have had the substantial drop?
BOSS probably, which is the building operations.
Okay.
And that's a substantial number that moved to the general fund. What else? Postal and construction services also moved to the general fund this year. So the only thing remaining is an internal service fund. There's 4 areas. 2 primary ones are fleet and IT, and then radio shop and EBIT. Those are the 4 that are remaining. And, you know, as we talked about yesterday, you know, over the foreseeable future, I could see eliminating almost all of those as an internal service fund. Okay.
Then I'm going to ask Mike. I know Mike just gave me the sheet, and I'll go through and try and understand that before we reconvene. But I will probably have questions here that I'm not smart enough to answer or ask right now because there's a lot of moving parts in this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, we are open to going back to the general fund. It's just how you manage those funds. I know there's a lot of misunderstanding about how it gets into the department's budget and then what happens when it gets there. So it's really taking our budget, allocating it, and then giving the department an allocation, and then us billing that department to get that money back.
Councilman Bedney.
Yep. Hi. So I wanted to respectfully disagree with some of my peers that wanted to relocate the emergency center to an existing building. One thing I noticed when I visited that place is it didn't seem to be tornado resistant. It didn't seem to be designed to withstand harsh weather. So I figured that we want to have and maybe this is not the appropriate comment to make at this point, but I just wanted to say that I really hope that the building we create is one that can survive in the middle of a storm that is tasked with coordinating. So having said that, I'm sorry.
That would be included in the design. We're very much aware of what those, regulations and what would need. It's almost like a data center and how you would harden that data center.
Yeah. So
we're very aware of that and knowing what the specifications would have to be. That would be a part of the project.
I didn't mean any disrespect. I know you guys know what you're doing. The following question was regarding the jail that we were just discussing before. Are you all going to be in charge of that project?
We will be partnering with the Sheriff's Office to help manage that project, yes.
So do you know if there will be any opportunity for the community to participate in the design process of that facility?
Well, that will be a decision that we'll make along with the Sheriff's Office. I know there's been a lot of work already done about the, some preliminary information on that, but we'll work with them on what they recommend.
All right. If there is any opportunity for community involvement, please share with me, and I'll be happy to get people to come.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Domney.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Nancy, for being here. I have a few questions. What projects does your department issue RFPs for?
We don't issue RFPs. We will help write the scope and send that to purchasing, and then purchasing is responsible for issuing the RFP.
Is there a cost associated with that, and how much have you spent the past year in doing that?
You mean, do we bill purchasing? No, we do not.
Okay, so you're involved with that, but there's a cost associated with that, with your staff at least, for doing that. And I was just curious what that might be in the past year for those services, and I'm not suggesting we put those in an internal service fee or anything. I'm just trying to find out what that expense is to the public. Did your department work with the issuing of the RFP for the CJC?
No. I mean, we did not. That was something that was done with the group that's made some of the recommendations and with the Sheriff's Department.
Okay. So y'all were not involved in any of that?
Not in the development of the scope, no.
Okay. Were you involved in any way in issuing that RFP that was issued May 1?
I mean, I may have had some staff that's been involved at certain level, but nothing major.
Then you may not know, was the police headquarters included in that RFP, or is that a separate issue?
It's a separate one.
Okay, was your department involved in the RFP for the police headquarters?
We will be when that's released.
Okay, so it's not been released for that portion of that proposal, but it has been released for the CJC?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you tell me what office requested that RFP? And when? The one for the CJC?
What office?
Yeah, what office in the city government requested that?
I mean,
you may not know since you weren't involved with it, so it's.
I mean, I think there was some decisions made that because of the size of the project, they wanted to be ready to go as soon as possible, and because of the condition of the CJC. So, but it was just an agreement, you know, to go ahead. If the funding's not approved, then the RFP will basically die.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Director. Since there's no other council members in the queue, that concludes your presentation, and thank you very much for being here and being patient.
Thank you.